Rightio, so here we are with the second video with Graeme Lee from the Mortgage Centre in Rotorua. And in this video, what Graeme's going to talk about is tips for any first home owners or first home buyers, and tips for anyone looking to buy a house, or getting ready to buy. So I'll pass it on to Graeme, and we'll go through a few scenarios and talk about what he can do for you.
Thanks, Sam. That's a really good question, because very often when a client is looking to buy and they would phone me and say, "Hi, we're thinking about buying a property," probably the very first question I would ask them would be, what sort of price range have you been looking? Because very often they might be expecting they can buy something for, say, 500,000. When we run our numbers, it's pretty clear that they should be thinking maybe around 350, for example. The second thing that I would suggest is that when we're on the phone having that initial discussion with a client, some of the questions we ask will be obvious questions. What do you do for a living? How long have you been working for that employer? What are your gross incomes? Are you aware of any credit issues there might be? Bank statements. Do you keep your bank statements? Do you keep any credit card statements? How much do you owe on your credit card? What's the limit on your credit card? So if clients could have that information available before they even ring, it just means that we can deal with those all at once. The second thing is, I think is critical for a first home buyer or anyone buying a home, is to make sure they get a pre-approval. And I say that because competition's pretty fierce at the moment. When a really nice property comes on the market, it's quite a feeding frenzy sometimes, and we'll be aware that there may be 4 or 5 offers being considered, or quite a large number of people looking at the same property. So if we're able to get finance pre-approved for them, then it has 5 or so benefits. One is they know exactly the maximum amount they can borrow, and if they know how much deposit they're going to have, then they know exactly what sort of purchase price they're going to be looking at. It also means for us and the client that 95% of the work is done even before they get to sign the sale and purchase agreement. So following on from that, it puts them in a much stronger position than someone who's given no thought to their finances. One of the other things that's very key to this is, do they qualify for a Home Start grant from Housing New Zealand? Have they done any background work on whether they're able to withdraw their KiwiSaver funds, and an idea of how much that would be? All that background work is going to save time too in getting a pre-approval.
So it's all about being prepared, isn't it?
Being prepared. And very often that's the key thing that people aren't. They're not prepared. They get disappointed when the numbers are run. They've been looking at properties for 500,000, and realistically they should be looking at 350.
Yeah. Interesting. I had a situation with one client, well, not client, a buyer came in and said, okay, they can afford to buy a house in 550 to 600,000, and then this is a situation where they weren't ready, but one partner thought so, but then I talked to the wife, and the wife was absolutely not ready for that, and she knew it was about 400,000, so it was like there was a big discrepancy between one to the other. So that's a good example of getting ready, getting prepared, seeing someone like Graeme to understand that this is your budget, this is how much you can afford, and then when you go see a house and you're in a prime position to put an offer in straight away. Example, in the weekend, one of the houses had 18 viewers to the open home, so there's a huge competition for a house at that price point. So if you're ready, you can jump in there straight away, because there's already, I think, offers coming in on it this week. So it's you've got to act quick in the market at the moment. So Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's nothing more embarrassing or more stressful for someone to have signed to buy a house, not having done any preparatory work or having got a pre-approval. They've seen the house, they've signed for it, and then when the loan application is submitted and declined, then naturally everyone's disappointed and even a little embarrassed. So I'm a big fan of having a loan pre-approved. It just saves so much time later, and the client knows exactly where they are in terms of progressing a purchase.
Yeah, good advice, and as you told me before, make sure that pre-approval is in writing. Don't just get a verbal pre-approval, get in writing just to make it everything official.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Graeme, and please keep watching for our next video.